So you've got yourself a deal, you think you've made it, you're gonna retire in the Bahamas and live forever, happy ever after. Well, pump the brakes, now's when the real work starts. And on today's video, I'm gonna be sharing with you my top 10 rent-to-rent refurb hacks. On today's video, I'm going to be breaking down to you my top 10 rent-to-rent refurb hacks. And a lot of you, I speak to you and you feel like the deal is the end game. Whoa, hold up. It's not. It's absolutely not. There's so much work to do once you've got the deal. As a matter of fact, in my program, there's 9 stages to building, a rent-to-rent business, and getting the deal is only step 5. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my refurb hacks, which is a key point. In any type of property development, you've got to add the value to get the cheddar. You got to add the value to get the cheddar. You can't just waltz into the property and think you're good. And I tell you now, if you cut corners, you will fall flat on your face. Step 1, don't cut corners. I've been there, I've done it, I'm wearing the t-shirt, it's caused me so many headaches. So what I mean by this is, I've been in properties and thought, yeah, you know what? In fact, I've got a property exactly like this. I thought at the time the carpets would probably be all right. Yeah, they're passable, they're neutral. And then what happens is you start to tenant the property. 9 months down the line, it starts to become harder to tenant the other rooms. But by that time, you've got tenants in and changing the carpet, it's not logistically gonna happen. So don't cut corners. If things are, then just get them done there and then, whilst the property's empty, whilst you've got the preparation time or the rent-free period. And more importantly, whilst you've got the communication channels open with the landlord. Because if you say to the landlord at the beginning, look, we're gonna guarantee your rent for 5 years, but we could do with changing the carpets, they're much more likely to contribute at the beginning that when you just sort of change your mind 9 months down the line. So don't cut corners. That means new carpets, painting and decorating, wherever necessary, make sure you get the best finish possible there and then, because that's going to be the best opportunity to do so. And if you don't do it then, you might never do. Number 2, no new kitchens, no new bathrooms. These are not our properties, and therefore we're not investing huge amounts of money into somebody else's property. It's far too risky. Now, there are some exceptions. You might be able to invest a little bit in replacing kitchen doors or changing floors, maybe screeding them to self-level the floors and adding a vinyl, which can be really good hack, by the way. But we're not doing big new bathroom, new kitchens. And if we are, we need a decent contribution from the landlord, okay? And I have done this. I have had landlords give me £3,000-4,000, and then I've managed the renovation to change a bathroom or kitchen, which can be good. But I would only want to do that on the longer term projects as well. So number 2, no new bathrooms, no new kitchens. Number 3, set a budget and stick to it. And it's really important to do this for many reasons. Reason number 1 is because you want to know who your target customer, your target client, your target tenant is, and then make sure the budget is in line with them. In other words, if you're going for students, there's no point putting big smeg cookers and fridge freezers in there. It's for the wrong market. Okay, so you need to make sure that you're serving your end user. That's key. But most importantly, you don't want to overspend and then push your break-even point too far down the road. And you'll know my sweet spot is around 3 to 4 months of monthly cash flow to break even. Another thing to consider with budgets is I split my renovation, my refurb for rent to rent into 2 sections. Section 1 is the property investment. They're the things where you will never get the money back. So if you're spending money on fitted carpets, fitted blinds, painting and decorating the property, that money is gone. So for me, that's a true investment. Money is gone. If you have to give the property back in 6 months, you will never see that money again. But the second part is actually company assets. So any appliances, furniture, it could be argued that they are company assets. And if you had to end the deal in 6 months or a year, you would reclaim those assets. So I would split your renovation budget into 2 halves and then do your break even on the property investment, not the company asset investment. Or a good little hack is to maybe take into consideration 50% of depreciation for those, but not 100% because you'll get to keep them. Number 4, you're not in this alone. There's a mutual benefit to adding value to the property. So make sure you work together with the landlord. You're not in this alone. Work together with the landlord to get the finish, to get the property up to the standard you need. And that for me is key. And it's so important that you choose the right landlords that are open to this. If you're working with a landlord that doesn't want to spend a penny on a property and the property is not already brand new and great, you're going to be struggling a little bit. So just take that into account. And please, 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 please don't spend too much. It's not your job to do that. Number 5, in terms of furnishings and paints and flooring, what you want to do is you want to price compare on your first refurb or 2, choose the best ones, and then just rinse and repeat. Because if you've ever done a renovation, I'm doing it now on purchases that we're working on, going through the prices and price comparing and looking at the logistics and the finish and the colour, it's so time consuming. So you just want to systemize it. Have a list of the things that you're going to get. Have a shopping list. I've got one. I've got a shopping list for SAs, a shopping list for HMO, a shopping list per room, a shopping list for the kitchen. Just rinse and repeat. I pop it in my Dropbox. My whole team have got it. Each item's actually got a link and a picture to. And then there's no work. You don't have to do anything. So top tip. Find the key things that you want to get every time and just rinse and repeat. Number 6, and we're in the mix. Cheaper isn't always better, okay? You buy cheap, you buy twice. You buy cheap, you buy twice. So go for a mix and blend. You don't want cheap, cheap, cheap. Obviously, you're not gonna go stupid, but you want quality stuff. Get stuff with guarantees, warranties, so that you're not having to replace them all the time, because tenants will take their toll on things like appliances and the property. So you want to make sure that you're not having to do it every year. So don't cut corners here. Cheaper isn't always better. Go for the mid-range. Number 7, work out your timeline, stroke order of works. And if you're brand new to refurbs, this is going to be a game changer for you. You need to get a trusted tradesman or a property manager or a project manager to help you go through which order you should do things. So you don't want to get your carpets, your beautiful new carpets fit before somebody's doing the skirting boards and throwing paint all around. Are you with me? You don't want your furniture at the property too soon. So you need to make sure that you work with somebody that knows their stuff, if you don't yet, to make the process as smooth as possible. Oh, top tip. One of the first things you want to do is order the internet, because that can take a few weeks to arrive, and tenants and clients don't want properties without internet. Number 8, test the plumbing and electrics before the tenants move in. I've got situations whereby we've not tested anything. We've not even, what was I going to say? We've not ran the heating, and then tenants have moved in. Guess what? Heating's not working. Or we've not tested all the bits and bobs. You need to make sure you do that. Don't just trust the certificates that the landlord's giving you. Get a specialist in, make sure all the radiators are bled so that when the tenants move in, you're less likely to get maintenance issues. So I personally would rather the property be empty for a week just to make sure I've tested it. I've even stayed in properties myself for a couple of nights just to test out stuff and to iron out the kinks. Because a lot of your rent-to-rent deals may have been empty for a while. And if they've been empty for a while, you need to make sure that you get them prepared. Number 9, your Facebook markets, Gumtrees, your Spock, is that how you say it? Spock. They're good, great for bargains, great if it's your first deal when you're on a budget, but they're rubbish for systemizing and they're rubbish for tax purposes, because most of those will be cash in hand. And it's a bit awkward if you go down and see Sheila, you know, in flipping D74, and then you get there and say, oh, you know, I can have a receipt for that £10, you know, coffee table. So the likelihood is you're going to struggle to offset them. And the problem for me is that there's no uniform. You know, if you get one bed from here, one bed from there, one bed from Gumtree, then they're not going to match. And I'm a bit OCD like that. Plus, as I discussed earlier, you just want to be able to systemize. Every time I got a refurb, pick up my phone, call up Chasey down at Silly Sid's. Chase, I need 5 beds, 5 this, 5 that. She sends them out. They let themselves into the property. They set it all up, and I stay at home doing other stuff, doing more important stuff. So make sure that if you're on a budget, yeah, you might use those things, but you really want to sort of value your time. Personally, for me, I would rather just go Argos, no plug, but Argos do wicked sofas, 200 quid each. I'd rather just bang 2 of those than save £100, because whilst I'm doing that, I'm not getting new deals. Number 10, and if I'm honest, this could be one of the most important hacks of them all. First thing you want to do when you get keys is pop a key safe right outside of the property, and you'll have the external keys in the safe. This is such a game changer. It saves me so much time from having to let trades in, you know, go down there for deliveries. I've got certain situations where delivery people call me half an hour before. They probably shouldn't, but I'll say, look, do you mind letting yourself in? And they'll go and let themselves in, and they'll just pop the deliveries there for me. It's a massive, massive time saver. And once you do tenant the properties, for HMOs, it's great if anybody locks themselves out. It's great for cleaners. You know, it's great for any maintenance issues. And for serviced accommodation, if you want to do a self check-in, then the guest can actually get the keys from the key safe. And I've got another hack. I actually have an internal key safe with all my room keys or additional keys. So in my external key safe, I actually have a key for the internal key safe as well, because the ones on the outside are that small, you can't fit many keys in them. So that's a top tip. So number 10, please make sure you do it. First thing you do, key safe outside the property so you don't get pulled out of bed to go and let the plumber in. So that was a bit of a marathon, but I hope you found that really useful and I've given you some value. But those 10 refurb hacks, I've had to learn over months and months and months. And I'm telling you now, if you implement them, you'll learn from my mistakes, you'll save loads of time, and you'll be well on your way to getting your rent-to-rent refurbs systemized. See you in the next video.